For 49 years, Voyager 1 has been floating out there in total silence. Past the last planet, past the sun's light, super far away where you'd think nothing could reach it. But get this, something weird happened a few weeks back. This machine we built, the one that's traveled the furthest, just kinda shifted. Not its speed or anything physical, but how it was acting. Without anyone on Earth telling it to, it turned a bit, like it was looking at something. But there's nothing there. No stars, no radio signals, nada. And that's not even the craziest thing. Right before it turned, Voyager started humming. A quiet, low sound with this strange, perfect math to it. Not random static, but a real pattern, like something's there. It just didn't belong. What's really creepy is that Voyager didn't just react, it, answered, as if it knew what was out there. What if something out there knew it, too? The first hints were hidden in the usual data Voyager sends back, the same stuff it's been sending for years. But then, mixed in with the regular stuff, scientists saw something like a whisper, a beat every few seconds. At first, they thought it was just noise, the kind you get from a weak signal sent across billions of miles. But when they cleaned it up, they saw a pattern. Prime numbers, repeating shapes, like it was copying parts of Voyager's own code. It wasn't static, it was mimicking. Then it turned. The spacecraft, which has been running on its own for ages, fired its engines, not to fix its course or point back to Earth, but to face a blank spot in space. Engineers checked everything. No one sent commands. It wasn't acting randomly, it was too exact. Something out there spoke. And Voyager, our lonely explorer, turned to listen. When Voyager turned, it wasn't just changing direction, it was changing focus. The hum got stronger, clearer, more complex, with patterns and timings. The patterns were so exact, they got code breakers involved. Some of the patterns looked a bit like parts of the Arecibo message, that radio message we sent to aliens back in '74. That message was never supposed to get a reply. But here it was, something in Voyager's signal that echoed it. Not a perfect copy, but an answer that knew how we said it, not just what we said. Inside NASA, things got real. They told the public it was just weird data. But in private, they brought in language experts, AI thinkers, and physicists who study dark matter. Because if it was a message, it wasn't for us. It was for Voyager. And if that's true, something has been listening since we started talking. The deeper they looked, the scarier it got. Some physicists said that Voyager hadn't just crossed a distance, but some kind of boundary. Like an invisible net of energy or fake gravity. Not for fighting or defense, but for noticing things. Like a system spread across space itself, not to control it, but to see when something enters. Voyager accidentally entered it and set it off, not on purpose, but just by being out there long enough to reach a place no one ever thought a human-made object would go. What if this net, this thing, isn't new? What if it's been there forever, waiting silently, not to talk, but to watch? Maybe the message wasn't a hello. Maybe it was a report. Then came the last piece. Quiet, almost missed. Voyager's instrument that measures plasma waves saw a sudden drop in electrons, then a burst of cosmic rays. At the same time, they saw a tiny delay in the data. Not an error, but a hint of gravity messing with things. One astrobiologist, Dr. Sergio Alvarez, had a crazy idea: maybe Voyager isn't alone anymore. Based on changes in particles and electricity around it, he thought there was something small, silent, and close that was now traveling with the spacecraft. Not touching it, not signaling, just moving with it. Like a thing someone made to watch, woken up after being asleep for thousands of years. No one had answers, just the scary thought that maybe Voyager had become more than just a messenger. Maybe it set something off. In the days after, Voyager 1's data went back to normal, or so it seemed. The hum went away. The instruments were steady. Everything seemed quiet again. But to those watching, the silence felt like an answer. Like when you understand something, you pause, you think. NASA reports that weren't released to the public talked about small changes in the system's timing. Tiny delays, weird heat readings, things acting a bit different than before. It was like Voyager had been noticed. And now something was adjusting for it. Not messing with it, just accounting for it. Something was there in the system, not making noise anymore. It had already done what it came to do. And now it was just watching. Some of the weirdest stuff came from engineers, not astrophysicists. When they looked at Voyager 1's messed up signal data, one thing stood out. Some patterns that were messed up at first seemed to fix themselves over time. Not because of resending data, not because of anything we did on Earth. The fix seemed to come from within the data itself, like it was self-correcting, adapting. One analyst put it this way: it's like the message knew it was being watched and fixed itself so it could be seen better. Someone else said it was like quantum error correction, but in a place with no computers and no time to react. This led to a theory no one wanted to say out loud: the signal wasn't just being received by Voyager. It was interacting with it, learning from it, changing based on what we did to decode it. And that could only mean one thing: it was meant to be decoded, but not by us, not at first. By the machine itself. Then, all of a sudden, the signal was gone. Across all data, all frequencies, everything. No trace. But the part that really scared the team was this: the moment the signal vanished, some instruments on Voyager 1 saw that all the space noise was gone. Cosmic rays, solar wind, everything gone for 11.3 seconds. It was like space was holding its breath. Then, just as suddenly, the noise was back, exactly as it was before. But for those few seconds, it was like something passed over Voyager. A shadow without a body. A pause in reality, made or natural, no one knew. But it happened. And now, in secret talks, scientists are using terms they used to only hear in movies: field veil, passive scan, dimensional envelope. No one agrees on the words, but they all agree on one thing: that moment wasn't random. It was an action. As a last try to understand the patterns in the hum, a team took the data and used tools that can show hidden patterns. The result wasn't a signal, but a map, a three-dimensional shape made from repeating data. It didn't point to a star system, but it looked like a corridor, a tunnel, a gateway, a way to travel. Not to a place, but to a method of travel, something we weren't meant to follow, but maybe we're now smart enough to see. And Voyager, our oldest machine, might be the first to hold the key. Not by force, but just by arriving. For 49 years, Voyager 1 floated silently into the dark, growing old, forgotten, cold. We thought of it as a message in a bottle, tossed into the ocean of space, never to be read. We thought we were the ones sending messages, exploring, watching. But now something's changed. It turned without being told. It received without instructions. It sent without any example to follow. And in those brief moments, the hum, the silence, the shadow, we saw something we were never supposed to see so clearly. That the universe might not be quiet, just patient. Then came the last bit of data, almost missed. Voyager's plasma wave thingy recorded a sudden drop in the amount of electrons, followed by a spike in cosmic rays nearby. At the same time, researchers noticed that the data packets were arriving a tiny bit late. Not a mistake in sending, but hinting at gravity messing with things. Dr. Sergio Alvarez, who studies probes far away, had a crazy idea that Voyager might not be alone. The changes in particles and electromagnetic fields around it suggested something small, quiet, and close was now traveling with the spacecraft. Not messing with it, not signaling, just moving along. Like a relic, someone watching, woken up after a million years of sleep. There were no answers, just the chilling thought that Voyager had become more than a messenger, maybe it had become a trigger. In the days after this weird stuff, Voyager 1's data went back to normal. The hum disappeared, the instruments stabilized, and everything seemed quiet again. But to those paying attention, the silence felt like a response, not from confusion, but from understanding. A decision, a pause, thoughtful and heavy. Internal reports from NASA, which weren't released to the public, mentioned small changes in the system's timings, tiny delays, weird readings from the temperature sensors, instruments acting slightly differently than before. It was like Voyager had been noticed, and now something somewhere was taking it into account. Not messing with it, not breaking it, but adjusting. Something was there in the system that didn't need to make noise, because it had already done what it came to do, and now it was just watching. Music. Some of the creepiest discoveries weren't from the sky science folks, but from the engineers. When looking at the messed up signal data, one thing stood out: certain patterns that were first incomplete seemed to fix themselves over time. Not because of resending or processing on Earth, the fix seemed to come from within the data itself, like it knew how to correct itself. One systems person put it this way: it's like the message knew it was being watched and made itself clearer. Another compared it to quantum error fixing, but in a place with no computers and no time to react. This led to a theory no one wanted to talk about, that the signal wasn't just being received by Voyager, it was communicating with it, learning from its reactions, getting better based on what we did to decode it. This could only mean one thing: it was meant to be decoded, but not by us at first, by the machine itself. Across all the data, across all the radio waves, across all the backups, the signal vanished completely. No trace, no decrease in signal, just gone. And then came the part that really shook the team. The moment the signal disappeared, several instruments on Voyager 1 registered a complete lack of space noise, no cosmic rays, no solar wind, nothing for 11.3 seconds. It was like space itself held its breath. Then suddenly the noise came back, exactly the same as before. But for those few seconds, it was like something passed over Voyager, a shadow without a body, a pause in reality, whether made or natural, no one could say. But it happened. And now, in secret talks, people are using words they once only heard in sci-fi: field veil, passive scan, dimensional envelope. No one agrees on the words, but they agree on one thing: that moment wasn't random, it was an action. Music. In a last attempt to understand the patterns in the original hum, some outside researchers used algorithms that shrink the size of the data, the same tools used for studying protein folding or climate change. What came out wasn't a signal, but a map, a three-dimensional thing, stable, built from repeating data. It didn't point to a star or show a path, but its shape was clear. It looked like a hallway, a tunnel, a frequency gate, a way to pass through, not a location. This suggests that the signal might not have been just a message, but a blueprint, an invite, or a key, not to a place, but to a way of traveling, something not made for us to use, but maybe something we were finally advanced enough to notice. And Voyager, our oldest machine, might have been the first to hold the key, not by force, not by decoding, but simply by showing up. For 49 years, Voyager 1 floated silently into the dark, getting old, forgotten, cold. We thought of it as a message in a bottle, tossed into an ocean that no one would ever see. We thought we were the senders, the explorers, the watchers. But now something has changed. It turned without being told, it received without instructions, and it sent a signal without any warning. And in those short moments, we caught a glimpse of something we were never supposed to see so clearly: that the universe might not be quiet, just patient. What Voyager 1 ran into wasn't a voice, a ship, or even a signal as we know it, but awareness, a system that doesn't break in or show itself, but waits, remembers. So maybe Voyager didn't find a mystery, maybe we became one. Maybe just reaching this far was the trigger, like touching a thread in a huge cosmic web that had never been touched before. And if that's true, then we didn't just send a message into the dark, we lit a match. So, what do you think? Do you think Voyager 1 was seen? Was this just data, or did we touch something watching back? Share your thoughts below. I read them all. And if this story gave you the chills, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the next signal we get might not be from us.